Now, before I begin, I'd like to personally acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm delivering this presentation, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the lands from which each of you are joining me and pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal people in attendance today. Hi, everyone. My name is Monica, and I work for the New South Wales Department of Education. I would like to start by congratulating you all on considering teaching as a career. It is a profession that has such a positive impact on the lives of others. Over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to share some information about the New South Wales Department of Education and opportunities available to teachers in Australia's largest education system. I do encourage everyone to send through any questions or comments through the chat function of this presentation. My colleague Jordan is also present to help answer any questions you might have throughout the presentation or afterwards. We'll also ensure that we leave time at the end of this session to respond to as many as possible. If there are any questions that we do not have a chance to respond to, don't forget you can also contact the Teach New South Wales team via email at hrpromotions@det.newsouthwales.edu.au. Now, before I tell you more about the benefits and opportunities the New South Wales Department of Education has to offer, I want to quickly go over the importance of public education and why having high quality teachers in New South Wales public schools is so important. New South Wales public schools provide all children and young people with equal access to education. Public schools are at the centre of every community and each uphold the core values of valuing all people, empowering individuals of all socioeconomic backgrounds to pursue improved outcomes, contributing to reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, and finally, celebrating cultural and linguistic diversity. As I mentioned earlier, the New South Wales Department of Education is the largest education system in Australia. Given the size and scale of the department, you have the opportunity to work in a diverse range of schools: primary, secondary, central, community, selective, hospital, sporting, agriculture, and schools for specific purposes, just to name a few. What is significant is that despite these varied settings you may work in, all 120,000 employees uphold the values of public education. We hold students at the centre of all decision-making and believe every student should be known, valued, and cared for in our schools. We also believe that every student, we also believe if we are to prepare young people for rewarding and productive lives in a complex and changing world, we need to be a truly inclusive workplace where all employees feel welcome and valued. New South Wales public schools reflect Australian communities. Students and staff come from a diverse range of cultural and linguistic backgrounds. The New South Wales Department of Education is also very much invested in building and developing our schools for the future. We recognise that we are in the midst of an educational revolution where we are attempting to educate and prepare students for roles that do not even exist yet. This means there really has never been a more exciting time to join the profession. Within New South Wales public schools, you will be supported by teams like the Catalyst Labs, Education Futures, and Technology for Learning, our design thinking, technology, and innovation hubs to help you prepare your students for the world of tomorrow. To support teacher education students in becoming the best teachers they can be, the department offers a range of scholarship programs each year. Benefits include a guaranteed permanent position on completion of your degree, financial contributions towards your studies, and appointment allowances for when you begin working. Applications for our scholarship programs open around June each year, so please visit the Teach New South Wales pages on the education website and subscribe to be alerted when programs open. The great news is the support does not stop there. Once you begin teaching as a permanent or temporary teacher, you'll receive beginning teacher support to help you develop as a teacher at the start of your career. The support means you'll receive additional release time to work with a teacher mentor and develop your professional practice. This additional release time may be used to engage in lesson observations, develop or review lesson plans, implement effective classroom management strategies, or to engage in professional discussion, personal reflection, or professional development. Now, as you develop professionally, you'll find a number of career development opportunities available to you. You can progress down the lead path as an assistant principal, head teacher, deputy principal, school principal, or executive principal. Alternatively, if you want to develop as a teacher within the classroom, you can choose to become a highly accomplished teacher. These are just the things that make the New South Wales Department of Education a great place to work. In addition to the professional benefits I just mentioned, the department also offers competitive salaries for graduates and early career teachers. The first day you commence work as a casual teacher in a New South Wales public school, which you'll be able to do so in the final year of your degree, you will earn $373 per day. When you obtain a temporary or permanent teaching position, you will commence on a salary of $72,263 per annum. This salary does not include superannuation or annual leave loading. You will also receive mentoring support from experienced teachers within your school. When you complete your proficient accreditation after 2 years, your salary will jump to $87,157. I do apologize, that is my dog barking in the background. So please let me know if you can't hear me clearly. That progression doesn't end once you reach proficient teacher accreditation status. As well as offering the opportunity to make a difference and help shape the lives of young people, teaching is a career that offers continuous progression and promotion opportunities. As you continue to develop and improve your teaching practice, you will have the opportunity to take on various responsibilities and develop higher level leadership skills. Throughout your career, you will have the opportunity to apply for positions such as assistant principal or head teacher, where you can lead teaching and learning practices within a stage group or key learning area, and progress to higher level school management positions such as deputy principal, principal, and executive principal roles. For those who already have school leadership in their sights, I want to tell you a little bit about a program that launched this year. The Fast Stream program supports teachers and graduates to accelerate their career to school principalship within 10 years. Commencing at the start of 2022, 50 Fast Stream participants from across New South Wales will receive one-on-one coaching and mentoring from current school leaders, whilst completing placements that are tailored to their individual development needs and develop their professional practice. The School Leadership Institute will also provide Fast Stream participants with evidence-informed professional development and training. Fast Stream applications are open to final year initial students, with all Fast Stream participants being appointed to a permanent teaching position in New South Wales education. If you would like to find out more about this program or subscribe to be notified when applications open next year, please scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of this screen. Now, as I mentioned earlier, each year the New South Wales Department of Education offers a range of scholarships to university students to support them while they study to become highly effective teachers. They're a great opportunity if you are looking to teach in New South Wales following graduation. The scholarships are an amazing way to kickstart your teaching career, offering a range of benefits including financial support while you study, appointment allowances, and a guaranteed permanent teaching position in a New South Wales public school on completion of your degree. The Graduate Teacher Scholarship is available to final year teacher education students studying to become teachers of a high demand subject area, mathematics, science with specialisation in physics, in combination with biology or chemistry, selected technological and applied studies subjects, including engineering studies, industrial technology, metal, industrial technology, timber, industrial technology, metal and timber or agriculture, and inclusive or special education. Up to 20 graduate teacher scholarships are on offer this year, with benefits including a $5,000 training allowance and a guaranteed permanent teaching position upon successful completion of your degree. Applications for our Graduate Teacher Scholarship are currently still open. So if you are interested, apologies, actually, our Graduate Teacher Scholarship has just closed. It literally just closed a few days ago, but please do head to the Teach New South Wales pages on the education website to find out more about this scholarship and also sign up to be notified as to when you can apply for next year. So now that you're familiar with the New South Wales Department of Education and the amazing opportunities available to teachers in New South Wales public schools, you may be wondering how you can actually begin the process of beginning your approval to teach and finding work. The approval to teach process is mandatory for all teachers who wish to work in New South Wales public schools. And the great news is you can actually get started early and begin the process when you're in your final 2 semesters of your degree. Before applying for approval to teach with the New South Wales Department of Education, you must first hold accreditation with the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, referred to as NSW. NSW is a separate body to the department and is responsible for accrediting teacher education programs in New South Wales and managing accreditation processes for teachers in New South Wales. They are also responsible for the New South Wales syllabi, teaching standards, assessment, and school environments, so you can find a lot of useful information relating to New South Wales teaching practices on the NSW website. Each state has its own registration body, performing a similar role to NSW. The registration body in Queensland is the Queensland College of Teachers. If your teacher education program was accredited by the registration body in your state, it will also be recognised by NSW. You can check that your qualification is accredited by visiting the AITSL website and finding your qualification on the list of accredited teaching programs. Your university may assist you in providing information to the registration body in your state, but you can also apply independently to NSW. Starting this process early in your final year means you can apply for approval to teach with the New South Wales Department of Education and commence casual teaching in New South Wales public schools whilst completing your studies. I'm going to walk you through the approval to teach process in the next slides. So, what are the processes? The first step is to obtain a New South Wales Working with Children check clearance for paid employment. You can apply for this online through the Office of the Children's Guardian. You will, however, need to verify your identification in a Service New South Wales centre. From there, you can visit the NSW website and follow the steps to apply for conditional accreditation. Conditional accreditation is granted if you are in the final 2 semesters of your teacher education program. When you receive your accreditation letter, which includes your accreditation number status and the list of subjects you've been accredited to teach, the next step is to visit Teach New South Wales on the Education New South Wales website to start your application. Remember to use an email address that you check regularly and that you will have access to after you graduate, as most of our correspondence is done via email. Step 2 is your chance to select the areas or schools you would like to work in and upload your mandatory documentation. The greater number of locations you select, the greater number of possible matches. That said, you do not want to be matched to a school in a location that is not viable, so consider your location preferences very carefully. Please note that you won't have your final transcripts or professional experience reports at this stage, and that's fine. You should just upload the most up-to-date documents instead. Once your application for approval to teach has been successfully submitted, you will be sent an email acknowledging receipt. From there, you can provide the date and location of your final professional experience and obtain your interim approval to teach, which will allow you to teach casually in schools before completing your studies. You will then proceed to the teacher suitability assessment stage. You will receive an email advising you it is time to complete your online teacher suitability assessments and online interview. You will have 5 calendar days to complete the 3 teacher suitability assessments, which measure cognitive skills and emotional intelligence. The final step is to upload your final transcript once it is released from the university and your final professional experience report to gain your full approval to teach. You will be notified via email of the outcome of your application, and it is a great idea to subscribe to JobFeed to view available permanent and temporary jobs in the meantime. When it comes to completing your online interview, we suggest that you ensure that you read and view the preparation materials emailed to you and complete your interview within the allocated timeframe. You will have 1 hour to complete. Present yourself professionally, both in dress and environment. Try where possible to find a quiet space to complete your interview. Remember that the questions you will be asked during your interview are based on the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers. You can find these standards in detail on the AITSL website and try to include examples within your that demonstrate your understanding of the graduate standards and how you've demonstrated that you can meet those graduate standards effectively in the school environment. The interview questions themselves have been designed to give you an opportunity to respond to key themes for teaching, including your pedagogical and syllabus content knowledge, experiences, professional practices, and engagement with the broader school community, including actions you have taken that have contributed to student progress and well-being, and skills and capabilities, meaning your capacity to deliver curriculum and manage critical teaching activities such as classroom management and assessment. It is also helpful to reflect on your personal teaching philosophy and your knowledge of New South Wales Department of Education policies and child protection procedures. This will assist you in demonstrating your competence in relation to the standards. Once you have successfully completed the approval to teach process, you will be granted full approval to teach. This means that in addition to working as a casual teacher, you can teach on a temporary and permanent basis. A quick reminder also, you can send questions through the Q&A function at any point. I will try to answer as many as possible at the end of the session. Now, there are three main types of employment when working as a teacher in New South Wales public schools. There's casual, temporary, and permanent. Casual teachers are employed on a day-to-day basis to replace temporary or permanent teachers who are on short-term leave. As a casual teacher, you are paid a daily rate based on your years of training and experience, which is loaded to include a component for sick leave and holiday pay. Many teachers begin their careers working casually. It offers variety and flexibility and is a great way to develop your teaching practice and make connections with schools that can lead to longer-term temporary engagements. New South Wales Department of Education schools use the app ClassCover to connect with casual teachers. Temporary teachers are employed on a full-time basis for at least 4 weeks for a maximum of 1 school year, or on a part-time basis for 2 or more school terms. Temporary teachers receive most of the entitlements of permanent teachers, including annual salary, benefits, and incentives, and access to beginning teacher support. Temporary contracts can be extended at the end of a school year, so often temporary teachers remain at a school for more than 1 year. However, temporary positions also offer flexibility to move and develop your teaching practice in a number of different school settings. Permanent teachers have an ongoing role within a school and have access to some additional opportunities such as a deferred salary scheme, rural experience program, and Premier's teacher scholarships. Both temporary and permanent positions can be found in the Teach New South Wales job feed e-newsletter that is delivered every Wednesday. Now, one of the most efficient ways of finding casual employment in New South Wales public schools is by using the app ClassCover. It is free to use. You simply upload your details to gain direct access to over 1,400 public schools across New South Wales. To begin using ClassCover, you will first need to create a profile on the ClassCover website and then download the app. From there, you can upload your mandatory documentation, share your availability, and manage location preferences. One of the great things about this is that once you are booked for a casual day, schools who use the app can see that you're booked and will only contact you about days you've listed yourself as being available. You will then need to contact your preferred New South Wales public schools directly to let them know that you are available for casual work and will request to be added to their ClassCover network. When approaching schools directly, we recommend providing them with a CV and copies of your mandatory training documentation to outline your training and experience and allow them to find you on ClassCover. Now, as I touched on earlier, the latest temporary and permanent positions can be found in job feed on the Teach New South Wales pages of the Education New South Wales website. Job feed is our weekly e-newsletter update of available positions in New South Wales public schools, delivered to your inbox every Wednesday. Feel free to scan the QR code on your phone now and subscribe to receive job feed updates. To find job feed, head over to the Teach pages on the Education New South Wales website and click on the tab Find Teaching Jobs. You can select the job feed tab from there. You can navigate it to browse incentivised rural and remote positions, temporary or permanent positions, and non-school-based teaching positions, such as the role that I'm currently in. In the menu on the right of the page, you will see the option to subscribe to job feed. As you scroll down through the available positions, you will notice that the jobs are also advertised under different subheadings so that you can view all secondary positions in one section, primary in another, etc. Head teacher, assistant principal, deputy principal, and principal positions are also listed there, so you can have a look at the number of career progression opportunities that are available to you as teachers in Australia's largest education system. Now, as you all know, there are a number of incredible teaching opportunities that exist in metropolitan Sydney, but there are also a number of advantages to working in rural and remote New South Wales public schools. The department is focused on attracting the best and brightest teachers to some of the most remote parts of New South Wales. And because of this, there are a number of financial and professional incentives on offer for rural teachers, in addition to some of the lifestyle benefits of going rural. So what do we mean when we say rural and remote New South Wales? The department has 33 rural and remote centres, represented by the pin dots on the map that span across the state. There's Western New South Wales, Inland Southern New South Wales, and Inland Northern New South Wales. Within these centres, there are 155 incentivised schools that enjoy a range of benefits and incentives, which I will cover later on in this presentation. By teaching in one of these locations, you will have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of students in rural and remote communities, kickstart your career with a number of permanent positions available in rural and remote schools, and diversify your teaching experience in a rural setting. You may be working in a central or community school which spans K to 12, or the school may have a different demographic to what you have experienced previously. It is very important to address a common misconception here. When completing your approval to teach, you will never be sent to a location that you have not expressed an interest in working. So if you select a willingness to be placed in inland southern New South Wales, for example, you will not be placed in a Western New South Wales school. On our website, you can find an interactive version of this map that will allow you to explore the different rural areas of New South Wales. By selecting a specific area, you will be able to view a list of schools in that area and read about the attractions and services available in that location. You can also watch videos on our YouTube channel to hear firsthand from teachers working in rural and remote schools. There are a considerable number of major financial benefits available to teachers working in rural and remote New South Wales. Some of the benefits are varied depending on the number of points a school attracts. Rural positions can be classified as 4-point, 6-point, or 8-point schools and are determined based on the remoteness of the location, with 8-point schools being most remote and therefore attracting the highest incentives. Some of these financial incentives include the Rural Teacher Incentive, which offers teachers between $20,000 and $30,000 per annum, an Experienced Teacher Benefit of $10,000 per annum for a maximum of 5 years. An experienced teacher is someone who has gained the NSW accreditation at the proficient level. This can be completed 2 years after you graduate, and that's how quickly you can begin claiming this incentive. An annual retention benefit of $5,000 gross for a maximum of 10 years, and also rental subsidies between 50 and 90%. Taking into account the numerous financial incentives along with rental subsidies, a beginning teacher has the potential to be earning over $100K in their first year of teaching and saving a significant amount in living expenses. To find out more about the benefits available to teachers at specific schools or locations across New South Wales, do visit the benefits calculator on the Teach New South Wales pages of the Education New South Wales website. Now, in addition to the financial benefits that I've just talked about, there are some amazing professional and lifestyle benefits on offer to teachers in rural and remote schools. Before a permanent appointment to a rural and remote school is confirmed, you will be able to complete a 10-week trial placement before appointment. This allows you to get a feel for the school and community before committing to your appointment. You will have access to additional training and development days to support your professional development as a beginning teacher and throughout your teaching career. You will also have up to 5 additional personal leave days per year. There are increased opportunities for career progression in rural and remote locations. Teachers may find that due to less competition in comparison to metropolitan schools, there is more opportunity to progress more quickly into leadership positions. You will have the opportunity to see different parts of New South Wales and experience the attractions these locations have to offer. And you can enjoy lifestyle enhancements, including reduced commute times, more affordable housing with more space, and the opportunity to be a part of a close-knit community. Now that wraps up the presentation for today. Thank you so much for your time today. We will try and answer any questions that you want to send through the chat function. But in the meantime, if you would like to bring up the camera app on your phone, you can scan the QR codes on the screen to follow Teach New South Wales on Facebook and Instagram. You'll find a lot of information for future teachers promoted on these pages. You're also more than welcome to message us on Facebook with any questions you have about opportunities for future teachers, and we will be sure to get back to you. Thank you again for your time today.